a wonderful weekend. Please stay safe, blessed, hydrated. This commentary is pertaining to Sean Puffy Combs, day 23, Friday in court. It has adjourned for the weekend. Testimony will resume next Monday. Thank you for your time.
Kanye West briefly made an appearance in the Sean Diddy Combs trial today. The rapper arrived with one of Combs' sons and told ABC News he was there to support Combs. He was not in the main courtroom, left about 20 minutes after arriving. Combs' personal assistant is testifying now under an immunity deal. Sean Combs has pleaded not guilty to all charges. His defense team says any sexual encounters were consensual. ABC's Rena Roy and legal contributor, criminal defense attorney Shauna Lloyd are outside that court. So, Rena, what's the latest here?
Yeah, well, Diane, I can tell you that we saw Kanye West walk into the courthouse here right behind us this morning, and our team got a chance to ask him, are you here in support of Combs? He nodded his head. He said yes. He then dropped off his electronics like all of us have to do going into federal court. He went into an overflow room to watch a little bit of testimony. He was just there for about 10 minutes before he then left. And interestingly, his arrival comes just a day after we heard from Jane. She was on the stand for days, an ex-girlfriend of Combs, and she talked about a trip to Las Vegas with a famous rapper. She said that he's a friend of hers and that he flew her out to Vegas, and that when they were there, they were in a hotel room together, and about 6 to 8 people watched an escort named Anton have sex with another woman. And in her cross-examination, she told the jury that she knows Anton because she had sex with him in front of Combs. And she said that she flashed her breasts and danced for everyone. So the defense there was trying to show that she acted on her own accord without Combs in that room. Now, we don't know exactly who that rapper was, but definitely interesting timing here, Diane.
And Shauna, prosecutors say they'll rest their case next week. So what are you watching for as they call their last witnesses now?
So as they call their last witnesses, what I'm expecting to see is that they're going to testify more towards the RICO charges. This is the assistant who can actually tie together everything that's happened to show that this was an organization and that it was used to further criminal enterprise, if he has that information. And that's what I expect to see from the prosecution.
All right, Rena Roy, Shauna Lloyd, thank you both. And for more on the Combs trial,
Sean Puffy Combs. ABC News Live is the source. Burden of proof, the case against Diddy. So much has been said. 5 weeks of testimony. Today ended 5 weeks. Jane Doe dated him, had a short, brief relationship, was with him up until 2024, last year, was with him when the CNN video aired. She talks about freak-offs. This last information, going to a freak-off without him. They were on a hiatus. She flew in on a private jet with a rapper and some other people. She went along with her friend. Don't know how she knew the rapper, how she came to go along. Don't know what he told her was going to happen at this destination. But anywho, we learned she flashed her breast and ended up watching escort have sex with a woman, and she just so happened to have had sex with that same escort, which is very bizarre and baffling to me. Help the queen understand what the hell is going on pertaining to this nonsense here. Some may say she's a victim, some may say she's not. I will put up a poll. Is Jane Doe a victim? Kanye West showed up to court this morning. He only stayed 10 to 20 minutes. There's a variance of how long he stayed. To me, it's all the same. 10 minutes, 20 minutes, 30 minutes, under an hour. You didn't stay long enough to hear anything. Why not? You just went in, showed yourself, and then walked back out from an overflow room. This shows me that he did this for attention. Kanye has been doing and saying a lot of hideous things over the years and behavior with the last girlfriend, ex-wife, whoever she is. And it just shows me he's just an attention whore, attention-seeking whore is what I view Kanye West. And the fact that he decides he wants to come out now and show support and feels like other people should be supporting Sean. You can't tell people who to support. You don't have the right to tell anybody they should support Sean Combs. Look at all the SHIT that's come out about this man in 5 weeks. Why should anybody be showing him support? The only person that would show Sean support is somebody eerily similar to him. Rides the same donkey ride. So you want to ride that donkey ride into the abyss, go right ahead. You're already in the abyss anyway. You stay in the news doing and saying stupid stuff, so it doesn't shock me any that you would be supporting Sean Puffy Combs. You, Ray J, this other black fellow that likes to show up to court with the family. I don't really give two rats' ass. That's the latest pertaining to Kanye. Now, Kanye showed up in there all the 10 minutes, leaves. Once again, fame whore, attention seeker. We learned an ex-assistant by the name of Mr. Perez testified to setting up the hotel rooms by instructions from KK, Ms. Coram, the chief of staff for Sean Puffy Combs. He would write notes to the women on behalf of Sean, send them flowers, procure drugs for Sean Puffy Combs, and also we learned that juror number 6 was removed from the court. It is a male. The judge found that his information pertaining to where he lived was not adequate, not correct. He gave different versions about living in the Bronx. Then he said he was living in New Jersey with a girlfriend and child. So he's been removed. I don't know why this is all of a sudden coming out, because why would you be worrying about where he lives now? And he's been on the jury for 5 weeks. I find all that interesting. I don't know if he was saying and doing things in the courtroom. Maybe he was making gestures with Mr. Combs. I'm not really sure, but this is the latest information coming out of court today. Juror number 6 removed, a male. And so the judge is basically saying, if you've made discrepancies about where you lived and other remarks, I guess maybe he's made some other remarks that have been repeated. I'm not really sure because I don't really know what the hell's going on. The judge feels like you're not telling the truth. If you can't be truthful about where you live, you will lie about other things. So other things such as what? The reason for being on the jury panel. But this goes to what I've said before. You don't know these people. You all are asking these people a gazillion questions. You all decide if you want to keep them, don't keep them. The defense has a problem with this man being released because he's black, and they feel like the jury is not diverse. And some people would have a problem with that. Why don't you have a certain amount of black people on the panel, brown people? He is a black man. You couldn't find any black people to be on the panel. But then we learned that some of the people that were on the panel, or let's say potential jurors, prosecution had a problem with those people. Some people had connections to people who broken the law, been in prison, some type of nonsense. The point is, people know people. You're in a metropolitan city. There are going to be people who have worked corrections, been locked up, been to court, know people who've been locked up in prison. That's just life. It's just the way it is. So I wouldn't hold that against a person because they know somebody locked up, not to give them the chance to be on the jury. But they say you are judged by your peers. That's just a metaphor. You don't know these people that are judging you on the jury panel. They don't know you, you don't know them. That's just something the law says. You're going to be judged by your peers. It's a metaphor. You're judged by human beings with 2 feet, 2 hands. But it does not necessarily mean you know them and they know you. So that's the latest events, everybody. Jane Doe has finished her testimony. She gave us a lot of description of what her life was like with him. She felt cheap, sad, lonely. She wanted more of a relationship with him. Basically, she felt hidden. They had one altercation where she banged his head against a marble counter. He put her in a chokehold. She ran from the house, hid, returned back to the house. Hours later, he was still there. They started fighting again. She talks about the freak-offs, getting infections, being tired, neck stiff, back stiff from holding position, from doing oral sex acts. She's talking about only feeling safe with maybe 2 of the escorts. She got to choose the escorts. One she didn't like because she was fearful of him. He stunk, he smelled, bad body odor, stuff that you shouldn't even be repeating to the general public. Certain things you don't even tell your friends, your mother. Things you take to the grave. And all this freak-off information is the type of stuff you take to the grave. I wouldn't be repeating any of this SHIT to a standard being because I just don't feel like it's anybody's business to be talking about this. But it's in the court because this man is standing trial for racketeering, human trafficking, and engaging in prostitution by transportation. So this is why we're hearing all of this nonsense. But there was an issue with the defense attorneys not wanting that information to be talked about as far as her going to this trip with this other rapper flying on a jet. I don't know why she would bring that up in court because it doesn't really have any relevance. It just shows she's part of, to me, a bigger, broader conspiracy type situation of everybody getting together, watching people have sex, engaging in sex with escorts. Just saying. Because I do find it interesting that she would mention this in court. I don't know how it came about because I'm not there, but I'm trying to figure out why would you mention you went to a private hotel party in Las Vegas with this rapper, whoever he is, and he just so happens to have several people in a room watching people have sex with an escort that you have had sex with, and Sean didn't know about it because he wasn't there. This is when you and he were not together in this 3-year short relationship or sex relationship, whatever you want to call it. Put it on paper. As I said in my live last night, check out my live last night. What are the odds she goes to a private party in Las Vegas and watches people engage in sex, and the man who's in the room doing the sex act, she has been with him in a room with Sean Combs, where Sean is watching them perform sexual acts. Put it on paper. Does this rapper know Sean Puffy Combs? Because something is missing from this story, which I don't even understand why it was mentioned in court, because it doesn't make any sense. But what it's telling me is that perhaps this rapper knows Sean. Sean knows the rapper. They are all using the same escort. Because this seems like to me something you would hear in Hillbilly Alley or small town where everybody's using the same escort service. You see where I'm going with this? Hey, I went to the surprise party and this escort showed up and I've been with him. Oh, I went to this wedding and guess what? This escort I've been with, he was there. He was the groom's best man. See where I'm going with this? If you were listening to this, you would think we were in some small rural town of about 500 people. What are the odds? Once again, Jane Doe goes to a hotel party in Las Vegas. 6 or 8 people are in the room. And they're watching this Anton guy have sex with a woman. And she also, Miss Jane Doe, has had sex with that same guy. Put it on paper. That's the recap for today's events in court. It will resume on Monday with more testimony. I'm assuming from this ex-assistant. He's a male. And once again, he procured drugs for Sean, set up the hotel rooms per request by Miss Coram, KK. He wrote notes, sent flowers to women that Sean was gallivanting around with. Same information you heard from other testimony earlier in this trial. And Jane Doe has finished her testimony of 6 days on the stand. She was on the stand longer than Cassie Ventura. And basically her testimony is eerily similar to Cassie Ventura, if not identical, except for her getting beat up by Sean. She only claims she's had one physical altercation with him. But when you go back and listen to her testimony, it is very, very similar to Cassie Ventura pertaining to the freak-offs and wanting more and wanting to be a real girlfriend, wanting him to be a real boyfriend, him not wanting to act like a gentleman, behave like a gentleman, name-calling, blackmail, bribery. And let me say this about the bribery, because I did hear her say that he tried to blackmail her. So I find that interesting. I find that very interesting. So let me correct that. He blackmailed Cassie, bribed her, paid up money, and then he paid the money back days later after he and Cassie got back together. So did Sean ever blackmail this Jane Doe? Did he ever threaten her? Hey, I got tapes of you. I'll show him blah, blah, blah if you don't do these freak-offs. Because that's basically what Cassie was saying about her relationship with Sean, that she was a sex worker. That basically was her life. She was not an entertainer, not a singer, not an actress. That's all she had time for. That's all he wanted from her. That's why I don't know why she hung in there. But as I said, and as experts say, people do crazy things when they are entangled or think they're in love with people or love a person. They feel obligated to please them and do heinous, defamatory acts. You're entitled to your opinion. But my thing is, there's only so far a human should go in trying to please another human. And this is that. No one should be out here sleeping with people they don't want to sleep with. Allowing someone to film them, beat them up, drag them by their hair, bribe them, blackmail them, name call. It's too far. And I always say, how you start is how you finish. Early on in the relationship, she started these freak-offs, and that's how they ended. And that's what you need to know about being in a relationship with anybody. You start off rocky, it's going to end rocky. Whether it's day 1, day 5, 6 months in, 1 year in, when they start gaslighting, lying, manipulating, conning, asking you to do illegal activities, take drugs, drink, sell your body, that's exactly how it's going to end. And Cassie should have known that day 1 when he first approached her about doing the freak-offs. Also, hear information from Jane Doe about buying these rhino erection pills would lead you to believe Sean couldn't get his little wee-wee up. It's said that it's the size of a Tootsie Roll. I don't know, don't really care. But one would have to wonder, he must have got nothing going on downtown. So the fact that these women couldn't wait to have sex with him after the freak-offs, that's bizarre to me as well. But then the flip side could be, well, they didn't mind having sex with Sean because he didn't have anything to work with. So they weren't really having sex. Use your imagination. Use your own imagination. But I find that interesting as well. Both women said the same thing, Cassie and Jane Doe. After these freak-offs, they had this more sexcapade with Sean. But this woman testifies, Jane Doe, to buying rhino pills for him, wanting matching shorts for him and the escort, which makes no sense. Calling him Michael Jordan, which makes no sense. Michael Jordan put in work when he was on. Michael Jordan is a legend in his own right. Very wealthy man from being an athlete and his endeavors in the world. Sean is no Michael Jordan, let me make that clear. How could he be compared to Michael Jordan when all he did was sit in the corner dressed up in shades, burqas, hiding himself and touching his private parts while you engaged in sex with numerous men, back to back? Help the queen understand. The fact that she called herself Kobe Bryant, she either gave herself that name or he gave it to her. I guess so, because Kobe Bryant did put in work too on the basketball field before his untimely death. And then Shaquille O'Neal was given to one of the escorts. Now, some might say Shaquille was a good athlete. Some may argue he wasn't. You're entitled to your opinion. I don't have anything to say bad about him being a decent basketball player. He made money. They kept him on a team, so he did his damn job. So here we have everybody getting named legends who are in the basketball arena. But then Michael Jordan's, his title has been given to Sean, who sits in the corner and does absolutely nothing. Help the queen understand. Is he given that name only because he's this head honcho, wealthy guy? So we'll say he's the Michael Jordan of these freak-offs. He's orchestrating and regulating. But deep down, he ain't doing a damn thing but touching himself, trying to get his wee-wee up. This is ridiculous. This is stuff that should never be mentioned while a human is breathing. Do you understand what I'm saying to you? They had pet names for each other, Bernie, Bert and Bernie. Ernie and Bert. Why they gave each other those Sesame Street names? Silly and childish. Giving each other basketball legend names, silly and childish, and definitely unwarranted. Participating in these freak-offs when you didn't want to, tired, sleepy, not feeling well, getting backaches, neck aches, pains from being in the same position for so long, freak-offs lasting for 3 or more days, which makes no sense how nobody's coming up for air to pee, use the bathroom, eat, make it make sense. That means you'd have to be under some very heavy drugs. And if you're on the drugs that long, 36 hours, one could say you're lucky to even be alive and not dead. And that's what Sean said to Cassie in a text message. We're lucky to be alive. He wrote that to her in checking on her because she had moved on at this point. She was with Alex Fine, and I believe at this point she was pregnant with Alex's baby in 2019. We're lucky to be alive. Indeed. Mr. Sean is probably the only thing you're going to say that was true. You and Cassie are very much lucky to be alive, considering you all engaging in all this extracurricular sex with no condoms and catching diseases. And as I said, everyone's been dancing around on the news about these people catching HIV, AIDS. We know that herpes is an own disease that's known to be one that you can't get rid of. And HIV now has more advanced medicines to where you can actually test negative after taking the drugs. Don't know how long you have to take it to test negative, but that has been mentioned. The point I'm trying to make is news broadcasters have been dancing around that subject in talking about this trial. We're talking about UTIs, infections, but you don't hear anyone mentioning getting herpes or getting HIV/AIDS, which I find baffling because that's the elephant in the room. One day Sean wants her to wear a condom, next day he don't. And I'm assuming it was the same nonsense with Cassie as well, and any other woman who was stupid enough to jump in with him and do these freak-offs. And I got a feeling there are more women who have dated Sean, and he has asked them at some point to do the freak offs. And that's possibly why he doesn't have a girlfriend. Because the average woman is not going to go along with these freak offs. Why would you want to be having sex with other men and being filmed while your boyfriend's doing the watching and orchestrating and the regulating of put your foot here, put your arm there, bend over, get on your knees, tilt your head, F all that. Hell yeah, that's degrading. It would be degrading even along with a man, and he's wanting you to do all this, super casualistic type stuff. You want somebody to do their magic and they're a human being. Giving somebody orders. Do this, touch this, put your head here, put your arm here, lift up, move to the side. I mean, come on. It's just ridiculous. And as I said, these are things that you don't want repeated. Because these people have living relatives, parents, children. Everybody involved has a living relative somewhere that saw them go to court and testify to this crazy nonsense of bribery, blackmail, being pushed, shoved, hit, kidnapped, arson, home break-in. It's embarrassing. And it's all linked to this one black man, Sean Puffy Combs. The fact that he even told this Jane Doe he doesn't have any friends. Why is she jealous? Because she heard or saw him with another woman. She knew he was lying. He wasn't working out with her. He was screwing her. Because he doesn't have any friends. As he told her, he don't have any male friends. He only hangs with women because he can use and manipulate women. That's why he doesn't hang around men. He knows they ain't but a few men that might go along with being told what to do. And also this ex-assistant who's testified today said he was paid to set up these rooms for the freak offs. Of course. But let me say this before I check out of here. And I want you to listen closely to what I'm getting ready to say. Besides the elephant in the room of getting venereal diseases and HIV that the news refused to talk about pertaining to this trial, the fact that Sean spent all his time procuring these freak offs, using people to set up the rooms, clean up the rooms thereafter, paying the sex workers, paying the people to set up the rooms, shows you the mindset of a human who really doesn't act like a human. He's subhuman in the eyes of probably many people. And that's something no one's addressing either. You're spending up to $4,000 to pay a man to penetrate your girlfriend, lady friend. Testimony from the women, how they were tired of doing it, only doing it to please him, but then yet their notes would say otherwise, that they liked it, enjoyed it, couldn't wait, looking forward, blah, blah, blah. You're entitled to your opinion. The point being, he was paying these men who had many occasions with Cassie and this Jane Doe, and God knows who else have joined in doing the freak offs, other women. And we may find that out later too. This is all he could do in his spare time. And this is a man who's wealthy, billionaire, Ciroc label, clothing line, other ventures. And then this is what he would do in his spare time, paying these people, finding them on these apps, agencies, to hire them for sex, to be with his lady friends. This shows you how sick this man is. And the fact that Cassie testified she couldn't even make time for her own career doing the freak offs, number one. Number two, Jane Doe claims the same in court. She didn't have time to be an influencer. She was falling off, slacking off from her obligations, I guess on Instagram or whatever the hell she was doing, to do these freak offs. Those are two women who don't know each other allegedly testifying to the same information of freak offs, getting infections, tired, broke down, body broke down, mind broke down, wanting more from a man, participating in these freak offs and not living up to their potential financially by doing the freak offs. This shows you how sick Sean Combs is. That you have two different women repeating the same damn thing. And how much money he's wasted on paying the escorts, flying them into the locale where he is, if he did, or he chose an agency in that jurisdiction. Okay? Stay woke now. All the money he spent paying the men, maybe the money he spent to the women may have paid Cassie and this Jane Doe money too for participating. Paying their bills, rent, car notes, mortgages, whatever. Jane Doe says $10,000 a month. Also paying her lawyer's fees, which don't make no sense. Still have been dealing with him up until 2024 when he got arrested. We don't even know who that woman was that was in the hotel when he got arrested. Who's that lady? Stay woke, everybody. Paying their assistants to clean up the room, clean up the rooms afterwards, set up the rooms, buying the drugs for each freak off. These dodo birds not thinking they could catch drug charges for procuring the drugs, carrying the drugs, storing the drugs. Do you see where I'm going with this? This is where the conspiracy comes in of the racketeering. Because everyone has been wondering, when are we going to hear about the racketeering? You have been hearing it. When the people were setting up the rooms, procuring the drugs, see drugs right there. That's a conspiracy with the RICO Act, okay? A conglomerate using people to buy, sell, store, bribery, blackmail. You went and bribed somebody, blackmailed somebody, kidnapped somebody, forced somebody in a car. That's where the racketeering charges come in. Now, one would say that setting up the rooms wouldn't be considered racketeering because you're just getting paid to set up a room and put in condoms, candles, music. Okay. But you are setting up a room for prostitution, and prostitution is against the law in most states. So if you willingly knew he was paying prostitutes to go into the rooms, then you have willing knowledge and you are aiding prostitution. So then you have to ask that question. With all the assistants who set up the rooms, did they know that Sean would have hired workers in that room for the night? If so, you were aiding prostitution. And I think the prostitution charge has been proven. By all means, it has been proven. Because the workers have testified that they engaged in sex and received money from Cassie and Sean Combs. So that's been proven. Racketeering is the main charge, besides the human trafficking. And when you're hiring people to do dirty work, such as drugs, buying, procuring, storing, going to the dope dealer, that's a crime. Forced labor, not paying people, that's a crime. And he did use his company to some degree for these prostitution interactions, going to Kid Cudi's house in a truck that was under Sean Puffy Combs' company name. That's a crime. That's where your racketeering comes in. You also kidnapped somebody, Don, to go over there. Used a security guy to go over there. Broke in. They're witnesses. They're party to it. That's why they all testify under immunity, such as the ex-assistant today. Will KK be called to court, the chief of staff? Because as you see, Sean Combs is the only person on trial. And many people were wondering about that. Well, why is it just him? I thought this was a conspiracy. Other people should be charged as well. Well, this is why they testified under immunity. If you did not know that, all those people who have testified, they were actually a party to something plural illegal, which is the procuring of drugs, getting the drugs, storing the drugs, participating in the prostitution. If you had knowledge that that's what was going down in those rooms, somebody's apartment, whichsoever, you are now aiding a crime. And prostitution is against the law in most states. There's no such thing as, oh, he's picking up a friend to go party, get high. That's not the allegation. He picked up people to go have sex. He paid the participants to have sex. Nobody would be stupid enough to testify in court that they participated in prostitution and got paid willingly. Why would I want to testify to that in court? Why would I want my government name out here as the Punisher told the world, oh, I'm not an escort, I'm a stripper. Well, you are an escort because you went to destinations to meet up with Sean and Cassie to have sex, and they paid you. So that is prostitution, sir. whether you want to accept that title or not. You did sell your body. It is what it is. Although he's apologized to Cassie, he harmed her in any way. He apologized, which was very noble of him to do that. I don't know if that was a genuine apology. You're entitled to your opinion. But that's the latest, everybody. Coming out of court today, Friday. Once again, court will resume on Monday. Ex-assistant will be finishing his testimony. I'm assuming at some point next week, and I don't know who else is going to be brought in to testify. When I get an update, I will let you know. Please check out my shorts. I put up 15-second shorts in the queue for those who don't have time to the winded conversations pertaining to the trial updates. Please check out my Summer Wells video from earlier on Sunday. Will mark 4 years that the child went missing from East Tennessee. What happened to this child? Is she alive? Is she deceased? Are her parents involved in her disappearance? Was this an orchestrated crime to get rid of the child? Also, it's been revealed by the father, Don Wells, that their rights, they gave their rights up to their boy children. And also, the case has been dismissed as far as child neglect and abuse of those boys. I'd like to see that in ink myself, although the documents were plastered on a news broadcast, but you can't see the dates and what all the document says. But they can throw the case out because, one, the boys were removed from your care 6 weeks after your child went missing. And I think at some point you didn't comply with the rules to get your children back, which tells me you didn't want your boys back. So now waiting almost 4 years to tell us, we gave up our rights. Did you give them up, or your children, your rights were taken from you? Because there's a difference. You don't comply with what they ask you to do, they'll take away your rights because you didn't comply. So there's a difference. And I don't believe anything that Don Wells has to say. And Candace Bly, she has yet to tell the world anything about her feelings, advocating for her child. And once again, she did not do an interview with the news this week pertaining to the disappearance of her child and the anniversary coming up on Sunday, which to me shows deception. She has ran out 2 times on interviews pertaining to her child, one on Dr. Phil and one with the news a few years ago. The only person talking on behalf of Summer is the father, and the things that he has to say pertaining to the disappearance of his child is very disrespectful, whether she's alive or deceased. Nobody should be talking about what they think happened as far as brutality, being kidnapped, sexually assaulted. That's not something you say about your child, especially if you actually have hope that your child is alive. You don't say it aloud. You may think it, but you don't say it on a news broadcast. That's my commentary, everybody. Once again, Kanye West showed up to court allegedly for support, which I think is a farce and fake. He's a fake friend. He only was there 10, 20 minutes. He left. That does not show real support to me. Ex-assistant testified to the errand running, setting up the hotel rooms, procuring drugs. Also witnessing, I do believe, fights between Jane Doe and Sean. I left that out. Sorry about that. Trying to remember everything off the top of my head. And also, juror number 6 was removed from the court, and an alternate will be taking this man's place. What do you think about that? I will put up a poll pertaining to juror number 6 being removed from Sean Puffy Combs' trial. Defense is not happy because it was a black man removed, and they feel like there's been bias with the prosecution's choosing of the jury members. And I do find it interesting as well. They do not have a lot of black people on the jury, and I think the prosecution did that deliberately because they may have felt more blacks on the jury, they may vote not guilty. I'm just saying that because I believe that was the reason. Now, naturally, the defense had to go along with the choosing of the members. But I think once you start knocking down so many black people, brown people, the defense just goes ahead and nods their head to the selected people because they knew they had to pick somebody to be on this jury. That's the latest, everybody. Like this video, subscribe, and share it to all platforms. And if you'd like to donate to this great network, $Big Angie 129 Cash App, Stickers and chats are always welcome during the live stream. Follow me for more continued content on this trial. I cannot wait for it to end. I'm looking forward, and I'm definitely going to celebrate when they give their closing statements, each side. And also check out my content on Summer Wells, and also follow me on the Newsbreak app. I've had some issues with uploading content over there recently, so I have not brought any more content the past 2 weeks pertaining to the Puffy trial because it took so long for my content to upload. So if you need to keep up with the Puffy trial, just check out my content here. But I do have extensive videos over there as well, not as many as over here, but I'm 4,000 now over here on YouTube. But feel free to go over there and check out other breaking news. And also, if you follow me over there, whenever I make a comment under an article, you will get a notification of my commentary under a Newsbreak article. Have a wonderful weekend. Be aware of your surroundings. Stay hydrated. Mind the children. And stay blessed, everybody. Stay blessed and please stay safe. Thank you for your time. You have been listening to the Father Excel. Thank you.